The F chord is probably one of the most difficult beginner chords. We're going to look at a few ways to play this chord, a standard beginner's way and a couple of easy ways if you find that standard one a little stretch too far. So let's dive into the standard version, but stick around for some beginner guitar theory and then those easy Fs. So there's the F chord and you can see the finger positions. And this is what I consider to be the standard beginner's way. And it's that first finger that often causes problems here, because this finger is flattened across the top E and the B string. Well, my friends, you need to flatten the first finger over the two strings like this, as you can see. It's not flat like that, because that's not the way it's going to work. It's going to be too difficult. You often see it in guitar chord books like that, but it should be like that, sort of kind of you're using that part of the fingers and you can see where the groove of the strings is, and because not on the flat part there, like so. Now play those two and you should get something like this. Okay. You know, the two strings are ringing out nicely. Now for the other two fingers it's fairly straightforward. The second finger here on the second fret of the third or G string and the third finger at the third fret of the fourth or D string. Try not to play the open A or fifth string or the low E string as indicated by the X's on the guitar chart just there. So remember, when you see an X over a string in a chord chart, it means not to play it. If you see an O, on the other hand, play the string. The F chord should sound like this when you strum it. And you can hear all the strings ringing out nice and clearly, and these two dampened. The low E string is being dampened by my thumb, and the fifth string there is being dampened by my third finger there. It's just touching the string. Let's try progression, and here's a very common chord progression. As you can see there, we've got C, F, G and C. Very common progression. And if you need any help with those chords, then please check the description down below for links to those lessons. One thing you'll notice is that these two fingers here, the second and the third, for the F, the C and the G, they are in the same position. So there's C, there's F, there's G, they're on the same frets. They don't move, so you're not going to be shifting about, the fingers aren't going to be going around here. Keep them as close together as you can while you're changing. So let's have a go at this. C, F and G. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so watching those fingers, you'll have seen those there just shifting back and forward as you're changing from C to F to G. So a quick bit of theory for a guitar chord, a major guitar chord or even a minor guitar chord. To make a basic guitar chord, also known as a triad, we need the first note, the third note and the fifth note of the scale. In this case it's the F major scale. And if you look at the diagram there, you'll notice that the first is an F, the third is an A, and the fifth is a C. And also looking at the guitar, if you look at my fingers there, that there is an F, the third fret of the D string. This one here, the second finger, is playing an A on the second fret of the G string. And the first finger is on the first fret because that's a C. On the F, as well as we are flattening that finger, that top string here is an F as well. So these two are the same note, just an octave apart, separated by 8 notes. Just a little bit of theory there. So as I mentioned at the beginning, we've got a couple of variations that we could use if you find that particular version, that standard one, a little bit tricky. So here's the first one. Have a look at this and you'll see that the third finger, the second finger and the first finger are in exactly the same position. However, we are not flattening that first finger. That's one of the things that causes many beginner guitarists a bit of stress, getting that little flattened part there. So we're not going to play that. And the great thing is, it doesn't matter if your finger is touching that top string, because we don't really want it to ring, because then it won't be an F chord. Okay, so, and we're still only playing those three strings. Okay, the sixth and the fifth, we're going to dampen those because we don't really need them, because this one here is our lowest note. And so, like this, it's a much thinner sound compared to the standard version, because you don't have that top F note there. But it's good enough. It's definitely good enough to get you going. Now the second version, well, the second version uses the first finger flattened on the top two strings, and the only other thing that we're going to use is the second finger on the second fret of the G string, and that's it, and no more. Okay, and with this one here, we are only now going to play those three strings. We can't play this one, the D, can't play the A or the E. Okay, so you need a little bit more control with your right hand or your strumming hand. So like this. Again, it's quite a thin sound, but once again, it'll get you going if you find the other two versions a little difficult. And this one was the first version of F that I learned back in 1986. In this Guitar for Beginners lesson, we're going to have a look at the B flat chord. The B flat chord uses the first, second, third and fourth fingers. It's very, very similar to the A chord. And if you have a look at the A shape here, it's like that. And to play the B flat chord, all we're going to do is move up those fingers that you've currently got on, move them up one fret, like so. There you go. And we're going to put this finger here, the first finger, now onto the first fret of the top E string, or the first string. And you'll get this sound. The thing you may have just noticed there is that I'm not playing the fifth string or the sixth string, and both those strings are being dampened, and the fifth string is being dampened by the second finger, which is just lightly touching the string, and the sixth string is being dampened by the thumb there. So go ahead, put on the chord and give it a little play like so. A little bit of theory now. Major chords and minor chords are usually made up of just three notes, also known as a triad, and the B flat is no different, even though we're using four fingers. So let's have a look. On the screen there you'll see the B flat scale, which is where we get the B flat chord from. And the notes that we need are the first note, the third note and the fifth note. And in the case of B flat, the first note is a B flat, the third note is a D, and the fifth note is an F. And let's find those notes on the guitar. For the B flat chord, we are playing only the top four strings. Remember that the A and the E are dampened. The fourth string, or the D string, is playing an F. The third string, or the G string, is playing a B flat. The second string, or the B string, is playing a D, and then the top string there, the E string, is playing an F. So the triad is actually starting on the G, the B, and the E string. Those strings there give us the triad. But because the F is part of the chord, we are playing this as well. And just a little bit of theory there. The version we're using here is a typical standard version of the B flat. Another way that this could be played is by removing the second finger and trying not to make it look obscene, strumming the top 3 strings. This is a slightly easier way if you find the stretch for this finger just a little bit too much. It sounds a little bit thinner, but it's an easier way, an easier introduction to play this chord. Another alternative to playing this is by flattening the first finger across the D, the G and the B string. You're only playing those 3 strings. The top E string is not going to sound because the kind of the skin here on your finger is dampening it. And touching the 5th string with your first finger and using the thumb to dampen the low E string. And you're only playing those 3 notes there. It's another possibility you can try out if you find the standard version a little bit tricky, or if you feel that the other alternative is not to your liking, you can try it like this. If you're getting value out of this lesson, then hit the notification buttons to stay up to date with future content. Let's try this B flat chord in a little practice progression, and we're going to try it in a simple chord progression using F and C as well. And if you're not sure about those chords, why not check the link in the description for lessons on those. And the chord progression that we're going to do is a simple one. It's just F for 2 bars, B flat for 2 bars, C for 2 bars, and then finishing off with an F. So play along with me. We'll keep this nice and slow. And remember, try to keep the rhythm as steady as you can. Try and make each string ring out as well as you can. But of course, if you can't, don't panic. It'll come with practice. 1, 2, 3, 4. How was that? How did you find that? Why not let me know in the comment section down below. In this Guitar for Beginners lesson, we're going to have a look at the B major chord. The B major shape uses 4 fingers, the first finger, second, third and fourth, and is very, very similar to the B flat and the A shape chord. The similarity is the fact that we use these 3 fingers here, the second, third and fourth. And on the B major chord, these fingers will go on the 4th fret of the D, the G and the B string. Now that gives us, but we also need one more finger, that one there, and this one is going to go on the 1st string, the top E string, at the 2nd fret, like so. You can see it there. And with all new guitar shapes, check that these strings all ring out. So they all sound pretty good. Give it a try. Using this basic shape, we only need these top 4 strings. So the low E and the A string, the fifth string, are dampened. Okay, the thumb is dampening the E string, and it's the second finger here that is just touching the A string. Remember also that your fingers should be as close as you can to the fret, but not on, because you'll get that kind of thing. As close as you can. Now don't get discouraged if your chord isn't sounding like that. It will take a bit of time, but you'll get there in the end, don't you worry about it. To make a B major chord, we need the first note, the third note, and the fifth note. And the first note is a B. The third note is a D sharp, and the fifth note is an F sharp. And if we translate that to the guitar, let's look at the strings that we're fretting. So on the D string at the 4th fret, the second finger is playing an F sharp. Now here, from the G string is where the triad begins. The G string is playing a B note here at the 4th fret. The B string at the 4th fret is a D sharp note, and the top E string at the 2nd fret is an F sharp. So these two fingers here, the second and the first finger, are the same notes. They're both F sharps. Just a little bit of theory for you there. Now there are no really easy ways of playing this. This is as basic as you can get. One other way that some guitarists like to play this is by taking everything off, using the first finger to play the D, the G, and the B strings, like that. And you'll have to make sure that the first finger is touching, just touching, mind you, the 5th string, and the thumb is still dampening. The 6th string will be dampened just by the flesh of your finger. And you have that sound. So let me know how you go with either this one or this one by leaving me a comment down below. So let's try a little practice. We're going to do a little simple chord progression using E, A, and B. If you're not sure about A or you're not sure about E, then check the links in the description for a lesson on those. So we're going to play 2 bars of E, 2 bars of A, 2 bars of B, and then we'll finish on an E. So follow me or play along. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, when playing the chord progression, you don't want to be speeding up, you don't want to be slowing down. Keep the rhythm as even and as steady as possible. If you're not busy now, why not check out this link here for a playlist of all basic chords. That'll get you playing all your favourite songs. Thanks for watching, see you next time.